Well, I couldn't have asked for anything better on Monday, a perfect 3-0 sweep here on the video report. I told you I was going to give you my 15 dime best bet winner, number six in a row in the NFL for free. And that's exactly what I did as I cashed in with the Vikings. Also gave you a free winner on the Falcons. Now, listen, the Falcons early in the morning were 5.5, then they moved up to six. I naturally told you to buy down the half point. Very late in the day, around 5 o'clock Eastern time, that line moved up to 6.5. Why would anybody wait to play the favorite in any game late in the day? Makes no sense. 99.9% of the time, you should always be playing the chalks early. It's not like years ago where Danny the bookie opened up literally 35, 45 minutes before the opening kickoff on a Monday night game to take your action and always had skewed lines. No, 38 states plus the District of Columbia. You have online wagering. You put that play in and you get it done when you're betting the favorite. Now, if you're betting the dog, that's a different story. And plus, you've got to, as I always say, have at least two books online to play through so you can check for the line variation. So the Falcons cashed in, and then, of course, an easy winner on the Cleveland Cavaliers as well, a 10.5 point favorite that won by 29 at Brooklyn. So the complimentary plays over the past 4 days, 12 and 1, but the one that mattered the most to me was, of course, cashing in with the Vikings last night over the woeful Chicago Bears. That puts us now to this Tuesday card. My top play is going to be actually Florida and North Carolina. But here on the video report, guys, I'm going to take a look at your bowl game tonight, the Frisco Bowl between Memphis and West Virginia. Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here. That's me, general manager at DeMarcoSports.com. And as usual, since I know this is probably a surprise too, not only did I do a video on Saturday and Sunday and Monday, but my God, I'm here on Tuesday, 4 straight days. Yes, I know. I'm probably setting a record for this entire fall and winter so far. You should always subscribe because it's the easiest way for you to be alerted to when I have a video report. And I know you would be so disappointed if you missed one, right? Hit the little subscribe now button and that accomplishes it for you. So let's talk about the Frisco Bowl and let's talk about the bowl season overall. Here's why I think bowl games suck. Let's just be honest. They suck. Okay. There's two problems that have always been inherent with bowls. One, the team that was playing with momentum weeks ago, they lose that momentum. Listen, one of my biggest complaints about the Super Bowl is that you have teams that have to sit around for a week because of the media and the hype, and then they lose that edge. And that's often why the Super Bowls suck too. Now, you have teams that are comprised of college kids, 17, 18 to 22, unless you play for the Utah Utes, and you're 27 years old. But bottom line is, you've got these guys and their regular seasons concluded either the third week or the fourth week in November. And now here we are, December 17th, and really the crux of the bowl season is just starting. So you're asking some teams who were peaking in the middle of November to just practice, to finish their finals, watch a lot of their compatriots go home and enjoy winter break, and you're stuck now practicing. And now you're expected to just turn the key and regain that momentum. It doesn't happen. And in old days, you generally had to worry about the ever popular players being suspended either for academic issues or rules violations. And occasionally you had the sprinkling of a coach abandoning his team, moving on to greener pastures. But that has all changed. The portal has changed the entire dynamic of college football, especially for the postseason. And you have so many players, over 1,500 with the player movements. So the teams that you see 4 or 5 weeks ago often are not the teams that you're going to see now. Then you have the coaching movements. And I get it. Listen, players are abandoning the teams, coaches are abandoning the teams. You don't know what you're going to get here. And yeah, a lot of coach speak will be, well, hey, this gave us a window. This gave us 4 weeks to really get those freshmen and those sophomores prepped for next year. Well, how do you handicap the games? I'll tell you what this is. It's postseason exhibition play. That's what the majority of these bowls are. Now, the college football playoff games, that's a different story. right? You have teams that have something to play for. They're motivated. But the bulk of these games, they're just postseason exhibition games, and that's why they suck. Okay? That's why tonight my best bet is going to be in college basketball with Florida and North Carolina. Because I'm not that enthralled with Memphis and West Virginia. I was at one point. But let's get into this game and break it down. Memphis was 4. I like Memphis. Memphis was 4.5. I considered Memphis. Now you see everybody and their brother is on Memphis. And now Memphis is suddenly a 6-point favorite. I'm not so enthralled with Memphis, but I am going to use Memphis tonight as your complimentary play. And there's a number of reasons why. Listen, this game, the Frisco Bowl, is being played at Toyota Stadium, which is somewhere outside of Dallas. I have to look on a map, but I can tell you it's about 20 miles away or 20 minutes away, I think, from Denton, Texas. And that's where Memphis quarterback, fourth-year senior, Seth Hennigan, played his high school ball. So it's almost like a nice fitting way for him to wrap up his college career. And yeah, it's 20 miles away looking here. And listen, he has had one hell of a college career. I think over 3,000 yards in each of his seasons. And Memphis is a senior-laden team, and I think that benefits Memphis, and they have continuity. Very few players opted out. You have a West Virginia team that folded like a cheap suit down the end of the season. A Memphis team that, of course, fired their head coach, Neil Brown. Chad Scott, the offensive coordinator, is going to be coaching the team tonight. Is he going to be retained? Because you know Rich Rodriguez was brought in for his second encore in Mountaineer Land, so who knows the status of the coaching staff. Dead man walking perhaps tonight. You have a team in West Virginia that has some offensive potential, but their defense is absolutely atrocious, especially against the pass. West Virginia's pass defense giving up an average of 9 yards per attempt. That's 132nd ranked among BCS teams. Their passer rating against opponents, quarterbacks, is 158.1. That's 125th in FBS rankings. I don't think West Virginia is going to be able to run the ball against a Memphis run defense. It only gives up 104 yards per game. And I think that Memphis has more motivation here tonight to end the season with an 11th win. They earned their second straight 10-win season by knocking off Tulane in their final game of the year, snapping Tulane's 8-game winning streak, preventing Tulane from earning a possible berth in the college football playoff, right? That was on Thanksgiving night. And remember, Tulane was number 17 at the time, and the Tigers won that game easily 34-24. And Hennigan in that game was 22 for 29, 218 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is the number 1 quarterback in AAC history. And in that game, Memphis's defense held Tulane to just 57 total yards rushing. That's 170 under the Green Wave's average going into that game. And there's precedent here too. Memphis last year, remember, beat Iowa State 36-26 in the Liberty Bowl. You know, and Hennigan had a big game in that one. I also noted that West Virginia lost probably its best defensive player. Redshirt freshman, outside linebacker, Hosea Trotter, who was the Big 12 Defensive Freshman of the Year, 92 tackles, 4 for loss, committed through the portal to Missouri just a few days ago. And this is a West Virginia team that showed you nothing in its season finale, getting whipped by Texas Tech, a team that loves to throw the ball, 52-15. So you got Hennigan at quarterback. You got Mario Anderson, who ran for almost 1,300 yards and 17 touchdowns this season. You've got a team that was 19th in scoring, 24th in passing, 22nd in total yards, a very balanced attack. They can run the ball, they can throw the ball, and a team that only committed 8 turnovers in 12 games this season. So I think it's a very cheap price. Even though the line went up by 6, it's my second favorite play on the board today, and that's why it's the best of the worst. It's why it's my complimentary play, and it's why I'm telling you to take Memphis minus the 6. And of course, what am I going to tell you next? Buy down the half point and go with Memphis here against a West Virginia defense that allowed 31.1 points a game this season, which ranks them 101st in the bottom third percentile in FBS action this year. The only other game I considered tonight was the NBA Championship Cup game between the Thunder and the Bucks. The Thunder are a 5-point favorite. That game moved up from 4 yesterday. It goes at 8:30 Eastern time, of course, in Las Vegas. kind of an interesting little thing here. I like to, as I've told you many times, I use beat writers and guys that are nowadays bloggers who I don't have as much respect for bloggers as I do for beat writers because they are not traveling with the team. But they have always been my eyes and ears when it comes to handicapping games. And this little thing called the internet has certainly made my life easier over the past 20 plus years when it comes to handicapping games. I find it kind of interesting that the guy who is the managing editor of the Oklahoma City Thunder Wire, that website. And he's been listen, he writes some great stuff, and I'm not picking on him, but I find it interesting that he went against the Thunder when in the knockout round they hosted the Mavericks. He went against the Thunder a couple of nights ago when they took on the Rockets in Las Vegas, and he's going against the Thunder tonight, taking the Bucks to win the game outright. But the Thunder's beat writer for the Oklahoman, he likes the Thunder to win and cover in a 113 to 103 projected final. I like the Thunder as well. Took care of the Rockets 111 to 96 Saturday in Vegas, hammered Dallas. Of course, they had a little fuel, a little extra revenge because you remember what happened against Dallas last year in the postseason. Beat them up 118 to 104. They won 5 straight, 9 out of 10. And really fueling that surge has been the return and the season debut of their big free agent acquisition, former Knicks center Isaiah Hartenstein, who in that stretch has averaged 12.5 points, 12.3 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1.2 blocks, and shot nearly 58% from the field. He's coming off a season high 21 points, 8 rebounds against the bigger, more physical Rockets team. Now, he's going to have to go against Lopez and Giannis tonight, so it's going to be a difficult matchup, but I think the Rockets have more depth, especially off the bench, and I think tonight the key here is going to be the Rockets' defense against Dame Lillard in this contest. Because, listen, Dame has been on a roll here, okay? He's averaging 25 points on the season. He has scored at least 25 points in 8 of the last 9 games. But tonight, he's going to have to face the trio of Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, and Carson Wallace, 3 top-notch defenders. They are going to give him issues. And he's an ISO player. And when you think about it, he's also a pick and roll player too. He excels in that situation. And the Thunder are outstanding against isolation players and against pick and roll ball handlers, leading the league in terms of points per possession yielded in both situations, allowing 0.78 points per possession against ISO scores and allowing 0.73 points per possession against pick and roll ball handlers. I know those are a lot of numbers, but you have to consider this is how the Bucks offense runs through Dame. And if the Thunder are able to cut the Bucks off at the pass, literally and figuratively, that means they're going to cut the head off the monster and put the Bucks offense in jeopardy. The other thing is that I think that Chris Middleton, although he's back, he's not the Chris Middleton that we've seen in past years. Yes, he's played 4 games. He's averaged 21 minutes in those 4 games. He's only shooting 25.9% from the field. He's 7 for 27 for field goals. He's even worse from three-point land, hitting 3 out of 12, averaging 7.3 rebounds and 5.8 assists a game. So even though he's back in the starting lineup, he's really not playing effectively in the Bucks, although they've won, playing well, 10 out of 13 games, I think it is. They really need Middleton to play like he has in the past when he's been healthy for them to be fully formed. And although really their bench has Bobby Portis and not a hell of a lot more, I like the Thunder here. That would be your other complimentary play. But again, I think Memphis in the bowl is the better selection. So that'll do it tonight, guys. I wish you well. And who knows, maybe I'll surprise you and be back here tomorrow. So good luck, everybody.